My apologies for the short delay there, folks. We can hear Toby, despite him not hearing us. So let's roll. So today we're presenting the Getting Connected webinar. So this was originally presented by Toby Huff at Rotoplas back in Chicago, a number of weeks back now. And due to popular demand, we are presenting this again because it's all about getting connected, connecting your products to the internet, and about product track and trace. So in the next 20 minutes, Toby Huff and myself want to go through the following, which are the benefits of track and trace for rotomolding, and just how to use proven methods. So we're going to share some case studies on other molders and what they've used out there in the field. And we're also going to run through the difference between the serial numbers, barcodes, QR codes, and RFID. And no need to fear, we are recording this. So we will be sending a recording after this webinar is finished. So we ran this SAM webinar yesterday, had some great questions come out of it, and some great follow-ups as well. And again, yeah, if you do have any questions, chuck them in the question and answer or chat box down below. And we'll do our best to answer these for you at the end. So with no further ado, I'll roll on to the next stage. So PSI brand, just for those who don't know us quite so well, started out as rotomolders. So Steve, my father, who's the managing director here at PSI, started in his garage like most businesses do, rotomolding. And he developed a business where he was producing products for the ag market, and grew it to a stage where he really understood that branding was important and was really frustrated with the types of methods that were out there. So set to develop a branding system that would work. Here we are today helping molders around the globe. So it's in our blood, made by rotomolders for rotomolders, and we really add strength to great parts. We make them exceptional through our product branding, as you see in this Nestle bin in the left-hand corner. Track traceability is what we're chatting about today, and surface enhancements is something that we do. We're partnering with Stoner Molding Solutions in Pennsylvania. They are really the surface experts, but we have a great new product which we have with them at the moment, which is really exciting. Surface enhancement, we have our training portal and masterclasses to make sure your team and operators know how to use our graphics. So that's an online system. Also partnered with Armour. That's the, you can say, Southeast Asia branch of ARM for training, masterclass at Machine. And not to forget our loyal brand ambassador, Terry Gillen of Paladin Sales, based in Arizona. Been a staunch supporter of PSI brand since 2006, a true rotomolding consultant, and we wouldn't be where we are today without Terry's input. So thanks, Terry. So let's get going. Now this slide here, we just want to talk about the benefits of track and trace. And really, cannot emphasize more that it is the future of all manufacturing, connecting your product with the rotomolder and connecting the rotomolder with the end user. So keeping customer and manufacturer connected is so important in this digital age. Also, from a production standpoint, it reduces cost and time and increases productivity. So we're just going to drill into that a little bit further. Track and trace is defined by your purpose. So you really need to define your purpose before we can understand what the next step is for you. And here's some 5 examples here. The first one being unique product ID. So just to give each product some unique identification that it's different from the other one, and you can do that through a serial number or barcode. Very simple, very straightforward. We do thousands of these. Product tracking, or production tracking rather. So through production from literally from the product inception right through to servicing stage, DOM, date of manufacture, batch number, all that sort of information, product specifications, that can be used also through form of utilizing serial numbers and barcodes. used in resale. Typically that's used in a barcode. So you would scan that barcode and it would bring up the SKU number or part number per se for that product. Product information, so linked to a web form. QR codes are popular in this application where you have a QR code on the product and you scan it or the customer scans it and it brings up a web page which would give you more information about the product, how to use it, etc. Or perhaps even a web form for servicing. The last one there is servicing, anti-theft and asset tracking. So such as the location of the product, data logs such as servicing information, etc. Can be used in several ways, manually with a serial number. Next step would be like a barcode where you scan and connect to an ERP system. An ERP system. Or RFID, where you can literally log information to the RFID, which I'm going to share a case study on shortly. So starting off, let's look at serial numbers and when to use these. And this is a quick case study on a customer we've got here in New Zealand called Viking Kayaks. And their purpose really was to identify the product right through the production cycle. And there was also being able to identify that product should they have any product recall. And the problem they had is they were using a hot poker or hot stamper for scribing in the numbers into the side of the kayak. And that was really dependent on the user, how good they were on the day, what their skills were in typing in those 8s and 4s. So it looked poor aesthetically, wasn't easily visible, also sometimes led to QC issues if they went too deep and penetrated the skin of the kayak. So the solution was to move to a simple black and white serial number, as you see down the bottom right-hand corner here. So this was an InMold graphic they put on every cycle. As you can see, they're using InMold graphics for their branding as well. So it was no sweat for them. And the testimonial, we know, speaks for itself there. It looks sharp, means we can easily identify the boat from time of manufacture right through to recall. Now that's customer service. So fantastic customer service, this company. If you ever want to buy a kayak, give Viking a call. What about barcodes? So I want to share a short case study here of a customer in Australia, just across the ditch from us, a water store. So their purpose there was to identify the product through production to maintenance and connecting with their ERP system for water tanks. So they manufacture water tanks that go into the field for collecting rainwater. Their problem is they were using self-adhesive labels which peel off and completely disappear. So typically a logistical nightmare. Their solution there was to use pre-printed in-mold and post-mold graphics. So the in-mold graphics were applied at time of molding. The post-mold graphics were used in applications where they already had product out in the field, or if they were unable to use the in-mold graphic for some reason, they couldn't access the tank. So that's where the post-mold graphics were used. So their testimony was it works well for our guys at the oven right through to the installers and maintenance team, lasting as long as the product. Also doubles as a branding tool. As you see, they've got their logo there, they've got their free call number, so a great source of contact, which was really nice for them. So there's barcodes. What about QR codes? Or how about them rather? So this case study here is Wida in Indonesia. So this company here, as you can see, produce a lot of tanks, water tanks, and their purpose was inventory control. So from production right through the delivery of water tanks in Borneo, Indonesia. So they were working on a government project providing villages with essentially free water supply. Well, the government was, but the tanks were getting lost, misplaced, not delivered, and due to corruption, even stolen in some instances. So a big problem for them. So their solution was to apply a QR code that could be scanned both ends from the factory and at the delivery point. So essentially like a tracking tool. And yeah, they were overwhelmed. They said that it performed as expected, easy to use, and has been 100% success rate since they implemented them. So great way to use QR codes. Finally, RFID. So this one here is more of a newer offering, and you might be asking, what is RFID? Well, RFID is radio frequency identification. First used in World War II planes as they came across and flew back to base to pick up if they were enemy or if they were allies. And now more commonly used in anti-theft type situations. So when you buy something from a retail store and walk out the shop, if they've forgotten to kill that tag or remove that tag, you'll get flashing lights and a lot of embarrassing noise going on. You also get them used in security cards, so swipe cards for entry, keyless entry into buildings, and commonly also used in vehicle tolls, such as the Easy Pass. So that's where it's used. When to use RFID? Some of the biggest benefits is the no line of sight. So unlike a barcode, it doesn't need a line of sight. I can read it through those radio frequency signals. It gives a greater depth of serialization. So there's really a limitless amount of information that you can put into the RFID. Model number, data manufacturer, production operator, if you like. All sorts of information. They can be multi-read, so you can read more than one tag at a time and store information against it, such as maintenance. If you were to go out and maintain a product or log some information to it afterwards, there's over 500 bits of storage capability on them. They can also be locked and killed. So like I mentioned in that retail application, they can be killed, which means that they cannot be relivened again, or they can be locked as well. So that means that if anyone else in the field has a reader or writer, they're unable to access it if you've locked it. So why PSID? PSID is the trademark that we've given for our construction, which is really combining RFID with our permanent in-mold graphic system. And how is this used? Typically used like our popular peel and stick graphics. They adhere to the mold. You proceed with the molding system, and the graphic molds permanently into the plastic. So it then is finished part of the product. It's resistant to abrasion, UV, and your part is now readable with a handheld or fixed RFID reader. So the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a picture of like a sample of our RFID graphics. You see the coloured side is the side that would finish flush with your part. And you also see the back side of it there with the antenna. And you cannot see the chip because it is literally the size of the end of a ballpoint pen. The right-hand side, you can see how it's used. So you see the tag, chip, and antenna on the graphic. It's then attached to the product that can be read with the reader antenna, and read by a system monitor. How this works in action also, you see on the right-hand side a number of items which can be read from a reader. They can be packed into cases or pallets and read by their reader, handheld or fixed, wherever that might be. A case study I'd like to share with you is Saplas in Iceland. So a very forward company. They've been using RFID for many years in the form of spin welds, which have been out there. But their purpose here for them was really to provide multiple tracking options. So one for product hire, so this product goes out for hire. They also wanted it for processing or production data, how to log that from inception right through to the finished goods. And also, thirdly, to provide instructions of use on their website. The problem is they were using a couple of different options here. They were using spin welds, as I mentioned, and other secondary self-adhesive decals. Both are time-consuming and poor aesthetically. So the solution was to provide a 3-in-1 QR code, barcode, and RFID in-mold graphic every cycle. So the bottom right-hand corner here, you can see a picture of the actual graphic that they used. It's got a barcode, a QR code, and also has the RFID built into it. And if you look closely in the front corner of that insulated container, you can see where it's positioned. So for them, it was a really unique application. And for the end user, it provided a barcode for tracking during manufacture. during the product manufacture. It provided a QR code to access a website tutorial on how to use the product, and also provided the RFID for tracing the product journey or produce journey. So, for example, these insulated containers are going onto fishing vessels, and they might be catching produce, so they can record what type of produce at what time was caught where. And as that comes through into port and past the various areas in the food chain where it has the RFID readers, there's that traceability all the way. So really cool, really unique. Your application might not be like this, but hey, hopefully it feeds some seeds of thought. Right, any questions? There's one question that came up yesterday, which I want to share, which is similar to another one I see in here today, is where do we get the readers from? Where do we get that hardware from? And it's a great question. We are not the supplier of hardware or software for RFID, and there's specialists in every country. If you're not already involved in this game or with a supplier, let us know, and we'll happily put you in touch with someone. But we only supply the graphics themselves. So these graphics are supplied to you, as I say, in the peel and stick form for you to apply, only in mold form as well. So another question was, how can these be killed or locked? And great question as well. That is to do with your reader software. So when you read the tag using your reader, it'll obviously identify the tag, and you can then choose whether you want to lock it or read it depending on your software. As simple as deleting something and putting in your waste paper basket. So the question here was, how do we apply these graphics? And yeah, again, these graphics are supplied as in-mold graphics. So they are self-adhesive one side. You can stick them, literally stuck onto the mold. And as you go through the molding process, the graphic then becomes part of your product, molds into the surface and finishes flush with the surface of your part. So it cannot be removed, peeled off, or destroyed. So that looks all like all the questions. I'd just like to summarize before we finish. And that is some conclusion takeaways is to be or not to be, track and trace is for you. If you want to keep up with this fast-paced environment, which we're seeing in the rotomolding industry, is seriously pumping. We encourage you to bring your production process with you rather than leave it behind. The cost of no traceability is simply not affordable. There's so much time wasted and service time lost when you've got no traceability. We've got a useful blog there. I encourage you to go onto psibrand.com/track and trace, which tells you a bit more about each of the processes. I encourage you to connect with us. So using LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where we're always providing fresh updates. So on behalf of PSI Brand and Toby, who's been on mute, but it's been good to see him, we'd like to thank you very much again for your time. We will share this recording with you, and all the best. Look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.